Hey everybody, Chris Matan here, Real Estate Machine Show. We're going to talk March Machine. We're going to talk machine shop, really. And I kind of want to give everyone a sense of what happens inside of a machine shop and what really goes down. What does it really take to get from point A to point B, machining a part, all the way to from the beginning, the first engagement with a customer or a prospect, all the way to depositing a check. And believe it or not, there's over 40 steps that go into that entire process, those sequence of events that that really generate a successful outcome from purchase order to shipment through shipment. And I'm going to narrow it down to kind of 7 events ultimately, but there are over 40 steps that are involved. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a little video series so that I don't talk too long. This is going to be kind of the summary, the introduction to what it really takes. And I'll follow up with other videos that kind of then describe in a little further detail the 7 kind of major events that go across that whole timeline. And to begin with, I guess we got to agree what is the most important thing or most important thing in a machine shop. What is the critical thing that you need for a machine shop? My opinion, number one, it's machinists. You need machinists. You need people to make the parts. Then those machinists, they need equipment and they need tooling, right? You need a building, you need a space. But so I guess that's important too, right? A space, equipment, tooling, people. You need those things. But now, what about the actual business operation? What about the actual making of the parts and how does that even begin? How does it begin? How does it end? What goes on in between? You got to get a customer. And how are you going to get a customer? There's a million ways to get a customer, right? You can call people directly, it's word of mouth, it's marketing, it's business. You go out, you find business, you find customers, but it all starts with that first engagement, wherever that customer comes from, whether it's through your own sweat equity or they call you, it's that initial engagement. You got to ask the right questions. You got to figure out, are you capable of doing what they're asking you to do? Build a little rapport, become friends. All those things that I preach about, as far as a customer relationship goes and building that relationship along the way. And you got to become friends, you got to be friendly with the people that you're working with. And so that initial conversation that you're having is what's going to really be the driver of whether or not you're going to get an RFQ, a request for quote. Now, once you get that RFQ, you got to quote the job. There's a bunch of things that go into quoting the job. Then once you quote the job, you send it back. Let's say you're lucky enough to get the job. You get the purchase order. Then there's a handful of things that go into acknowledging and inputting that purchase order and getting all the ducks in a row that you're ready to order material, bring in material, give it to the machinist, let the machinist make the part. Then ultimately he goes through his process, makes the part, we get it inspected, and then it goes like I said, inspection, then it's packaged, gets arranged and organized for shipping, goes out to the customer, customer's invoiced, then we kind of all wait patiently on our hands and knees for the check to come and get paid, right? Now that process could be it could be quick, could be months, depending on terms. Everybody's got their own terms. When are they going to pay you? So, you got imagine this. Imagine you have a customer for whatever reason, you've agreed to 90-day terms, right? 90-day terms. That means that the day you invoice it, they have 90 days to pay you. Now, they quote you send them the quote in January. They give you the purchase order in, let's say, February. It takes you 30 days, maybe it takes you 45 days to get the part done. In the meantime, you're buying material, you're spending time, you're spending energy. Now it's the end of February, middle of March, you ship the part. Then you got to wait all the way to June to get paid. What does that mean? It means you know, that's a hell of a cash, it could be a hell of a cash flow issue. But how you can mitigate that is number one, negotiate better terms. Number two, have a really seamless process along the way. And that's where those 40 steps come in. 40 steps come in for every single part, every single purchase order, whether there's one part on that purchase order or 10 parts on that purchase order. Every part gets treated the same and goes through the same kind of sequence of events. So I'm going to break down now really quickly the 7 events that happens. Again, we're starting with a conversation and then we're quoting it and we're quoting it the right way. We're not quoting it quickly, we're quoting it correctly. Then from there, you got to lock the job in. You got to keep it organized. Then we build it with a plan. We get it inspected once it's complete, and not that it just looks good. We've got documentation that inspects every part. Then we ship it. We make it look nice and professional. We put a little tag on it. It says Marich Machine. It says made in the USA. And then finally, we invoice it and we wait very, very patiently for the customer to be compelled to write that check and send it our way. Hopefully, we're sending a good part, right? So anyway, this is kind of the intro video to the 7-point series, 7-part series that I'm going to create of what it takes to run a job through a machine shop and all of the steps that go along with it. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you're looking forward to it, and we'll catch up with you next time on the Real Estate Machine Show.